I want to show you how I made the Opposites Attract collection. Got lots of good tips and tricks in here. Hello, beautiful. I gotta tell you, this is an older video. I filmed this in the spring of 2023, and I thought I had lost the footage, but I was able to recover it. So that's why the voiceover, because this was back before I started talking while I was working. So I'm starting out with the extruder and a, is this a small or medium? I'm not sure. Okay, medium string. This is the Lucy Clay extruder, and if you are a professional artist, I strongly recommend it. Now the blue, green, and yellow, I did not use the extruded pieces. I did something different, which you'll see later. But this is the pink, yellow, and orange, and I did some tests before I started this to see what order I wanted the stripes in. So I would recommend that. Also, I would recommend squaring this up. You see how I left that in a funny shape? That was a mistake because it distorted when it went through the pasta machine. And if you've seen the Pop of Roses collection, you'll see how I did that, and I cut it off straight and it came out much better. And now I'm just cutting out the pieces. You see that distortion up there at the top left? That's because I didn't have it completely square, which running stripes through the pasta machine, you're probably going to get a little bit of distortion, but it's worse if the piece isn't square. I've mentioned before that I generally don't buy donut cutters. I like them and I like the cutout pieces, but I like the options that I have if I use my own cutters to cut the centers out. But I usually measure them because I mean, I can eyeball them okay, but generally I measure. Takes longer, but then I know they're centered. Now here's what I did with the pink, yellow, and green. I'm using my Kato Marks-It tool to make sure I get them the same distance, and using a Wavy Blade to make my stripes. Up in the top right, I've got my backing sheet that I used to put them on. You don't always have to use the backing sheet. You can just put it straight on your tile and do it that way. I really don't know why I did a backing sheet, but I did. While I'm building this sheet, I want to remind you that if you enjoy my content, please consider donating. I have a PayPal link up at the top of my channel. It's always in the description box. Also, you do not have to have a PayPal account to use that link, and you can do a one-time donation, or you can do a recurring donation, which you can customize the amount and how often it recurs. That is completely up to you, but it is greatly appreciated. It helps me buy supplies and filming equipment, things like that. I'm just continuing here, making my stripe sheet. Burnish it down, of course. I don't think I ran this through the pasta machine. I think I just burnished it down really well, and that was it. I didn't want to distort my stripes at all, so I just left them as they were. As I said, this is the Opposites Attract collection, so it's all about opposites. Bright colors versus black and white, dots versus stripes. This project took a lot of planning. Right here, I tried to measure out my dots, but I couldn't get it right. So I used that Sculpey texture sheet that had like a diamond pattern on it, and that way I knew where to cut my dots out. Yes, I could have made my polka dots with a what do you call it, a silk screen, but I didn't want to. I wanted this collection to be completely clay. So I sat there for, I don't know, like who knows how many hours, cutting out all of those teeny tiny dots. And then I had to dig them all out of the white background. I don't know that I would ever do that again. It was a lot of tedious work. A lot of work. This collection also took a lot of planning. You may at some point see over on the left side little tiles that have just some white shapes on them. I should have used scrap clay, but I don't know. The white was what I grabbed. It took a lot of planning for this collection, so I had to plan out my shapes. I went ahead and cut them out so that I would know, you know, if the sheets I was making had enough for what I needed. Normally I just make my slabs and just cut out, and whatever I get out of it is what I get. But with this, I had to be a lot more strategic in my planning. Now, when I was cutting those dots out, I tried all different types of things. I tried cornstarch, I tried water. The best thing that worked for me was Armor All. But you might can see here, it kind of dried the clay out a little bit, because I mean, I just had to use so much of it to get the clay not to stick in those cutters, and a lot of it still did stick, and I had to sit there and dig it out. Now what I did is I turned the white sheet over in my little practice pieces. I found that that gave me the nicest result. I took my needle tool and kind of widened out the white holes just a little bit, and then as I picked up my black dots, I turned them upside down, so the front of the white is with the front of the black and vice versa, but they're all facing down, they're upside down. And here we go, just filling in a gazillion little black dots. I absolutely loved this collection. I was so proud of this collection. It was a lot of work. I love the fact that the shapes were different. That was another part of the opposites. Some earrings had the shapes like flipped around. The patterns were flipped on some. They were just all really unique and different, which I really loved. Okay, just burnishing my dots down here. There again, they did not go through the pasta machine. They were only burnished down and then flipped around. Another thing about this collection that I'm super proud of is that a pair of the earrings from this collection was featured in an international Polymer Clay magazine in January of 2024. I was so proud, and I was just so shocked and so happy that I just burst into tears when I found out. Just cutting out my shapes. See that tile over to the left? That's my reference patterns or shapes or whatever, so I know what to cut out. I took a Sharpie and marked it on the tiles they were sitting on, so I knew the number of pieces and, you know, what shapes I need and what, because when you're working with 3 different patterns and you want this pair of earrings to have this shape and then one earring have this pattern and one, it gets really confusing really quick. So I definitely suggest planning that out ahead of time. Now I'm just texturing my back. That's just some, what do you call it? The shelf liner that's sticky. It's not sticky, but you know what I'm talking about. It has been so long since I've done a voiceover, I feel like I'm out of shape. Out of practice. And I haven't watched this video in a long time. I almost always cut out my shapes while they're on the tile that I was working on, and then I bake them, take them off, you know, sand or scrape the edges, whatever needs to be done, and then add my backing. just the way I prefer to do it. Now, because the pattern was on the front and the back of the polka dots, I forgot to look and make sure which side was which, and you can see there that side is much messier. That's because the front side I went ahead and sanded before I added the backing. So the front side of all of my pieces, I sanded them to get down to where the pattern was nice and clean, because on the very top, especially the polka dots, it was really messy. So I had to sand it down, kind of like with a cane. You know, you sand it down to get to the pretty part where it's nice and clean. That's what I did with the polka dots. Do my studs. Sometimes I set my studs with bacon bond first and then cover the backs, which is what I'm doing here, just setting it with a heat gun so that they don't slide around. Most of the time I don't do that anymore. But guys, I see so many people on Facebook and the groups and stuff say, I didn't know when I first started, and I used to use glue, and I've had so many customers contact me and say the post fell off. Y'all, glue will not hold on earring post. It will not. And I see people that are selling classes still recommending people use glue. Guys, it just doesn't hold up over time. You have to either cover it with clay, like I'm doing here, or cover it with resin. That tool, by the way, is the Stud Helper. It's from the Creative Dork. Irene actually invented that tool, and it comes in really handy when you're covering your clay backs. Now here, my stripes are nice and straight because I did cut them before they went through the pasta machine. I got them nice and squared up. And I used my Marks It tool there to get them even. And I'm just cutting them in tiny little slices. Okay, now this was my first piece adding the edge on. And let me tell you, I made a mess out of it. The back is still raw here. The black back is still raw while I'm trying to add the edging. So that was my first mistake. On the rest of them, I went ahead and cured the back and then went back and did this. I think I was afraid it wouldn't stick on, but let me tell you, the bacon bond held it on just fine, even though the front and the back were already cured. I just added the bacon bond and then added my edging. The second mistake I made was doing the outside before I did the inside. I mean, you would think that's common sense to do the inside first, but did I think to do that? No. So I was just squishing the outside something crazy while I was trying to do the inside. And with these sharp cornered shapes, it makes it even harder. So yeah, I made a mess out of this one. I mean, I still managed to get it cleaned up in the end, but it was way harder than it needed to be. So if you decide to do an edge like this, bake your front, bake your back, use some poly paste or bacon bond. Well, it's not bacon bond anymore, but the Sculpey adhesive. And then add your little, what's that? It's not polka dots. Anyway, you know what I mean. Your edging, your dashes? Is that what it is? Lines, dashes, whatever you want to call it. Add your edging last after the rest of it's baked. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And after I added my signature on the back of these, my little flower signature, I loved the way that looked. And one day, when I get time, I'm going to do a solid color with that black and white edge and then colorful flowers on it, because it looks so cute. And I did a different color back on all of them. Like, now most of the black and white polka dots, I think all of those got a black backing, but then the stripes got colored backing. So even the backs of the earrings were different, which I thought was so cute. I gave my sister a pair of them, and she's like, did you know the backs of these were a different color? I'm like, yes, I knew. It's on purpose. In her defense, though, it was really, the colors were really close. It was like the green and the yellow. I just thought that was really funny. She cracked me up with that one. This is the pair that was featured in the magazine. Love that pair. And then just here's the other pieces from the collection. Not all of them, but because it was a big collection, but just some of them. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. And until next week, go watch this video or this one. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.